gorgeous human beings of the Charisma Masterclass, but also of the We Are Alpha Femme membership. This is extremely exciting. So I want to set the tone before we begin this class so you understand how it's going to go. Every day, you're going to get a reminder that we're going live. And after, during the day, as soon as the call has been recorded and put onto YouTube, I'm also going to email you with the replay, and you're going to get to keep that replay forever. So no matter how long you stay in We Are Alpha Femme, you'll always have the replays to this course. This is yours forever. Now, I'm not going to lie. I really do hope that this is just the beginning of our journey. And for those of you who've been here for a while already, there's the middle of our journey together, but that this is just the beginning of you experiencing the We Are Alpha Femme membership, and that you realize once you're here that this is actually a spectacular place, and that this ends up being a long journey for us. You'll notice in the guide section of the group, there are other things that are hosted in here that are spectacular. So if you want to go into Charisma, focus on that, and then watch the other stuff, you can do that. If you want to just dive into everything, you can play the way that you desire, but I have a feeling you're really going to love this place. And we have a lot of plans for it, and it's been a very big work in progress for us. We've been adding things consistently to it, and more is coming. The energy is building, and we're very excited about what's coming in here. And we're really wanting to make this the most extraordinary place. Like, it's the most amazing bonus for anyone in my close proximity or for my Alpha Femme experience, AFE Next. And then it's possible to purchase it at only $222 a month plus your credits. It's like, we want to make sure this space is just to last 6 whole modules, and they're going to range between an hour to 90 minutes. I'm going to try not to go too far over that to honor your time, but I've got a lot to tell you. There's a lot of things I want to share with you. So this, to me, is one of the most extraordinary pieces of work that I have delivered in a while. I've been so excited to share it with you. We started with identity work, and who did identity work that's here that did identity work, just out of curiosity? Cool. So identity work is like the greatest prerequisite, like the greatest step one to this work. If you haven't watched it yet and you want to, it's actually quite spectacular. I'm going to explain why in a moment, but this is the greatest progression, and I think it's going to be a really big eye opener for you, and it's going to change the game in how you allow yourself to show up, which is ultimately all we need in order to break free, is to allow ourselves to show up differently. We need a good reason and a good angle, and I think this is it. So I'm excited to share this with you. Now, if you need anything while you're here, if there's something you can't see the link or you're lost for any reason, you can always message the Alpha Femme team directly on Messenger, and they'll get back to you really quickly. You can email hello@alphafemme.com as well. You're going to see a lot of support in here because we've got quite a lot of people that are as part of the team. So you're going to see Cam Alpha Team, Nicole Alpha Team, Lisa Alpha Team, Kimberly Alpha Team, Emmanuel Alpha Team, Vanessa Alpha Team. You're going to see Tammy Alpha Team, Marie-Lynn Alpha Team. There's a lot of Alpha Team, but the core account is the Alpha Femme team. If you need to tag them. That's the fastest response, because we never know who's on what shift, and we want to get to you as fast as possible. This should be really streamlined. You get an email, you get on the call. If you can't watch the call live, you get the replay in your inbox. Pretty simple. Plus, I invite you to play full out in the membership. Post your homework in here, chat, create connections, because I think one of the coolest things about this space are the people in here. There are people here that are ranging from anywhere to their beginnings, meaning they are the bravest people in this room, all the way to people who are earning like multi-millions of dollars a year, who've built businesses, who've got stories that don't make sense. We've got single ladies, we've got people who've been married for decades, we've got mamas, we've got entrepreneurs, artists, CEOs, every kind of person you could think of in this space. And so connecting and jamming together is going to be a big part of the value of this space, in my opinion. Okay, we've got the single ladies, married ladies, we got all kinds of extraordinary people in here. There's a few people who've been in here for years and years and years. Some people are new. It's like there's people all walks of life in this group. So I'm excited for you to meet and to start to bond over everything that you learn in here and mastermind and see what happens for you. So I am going to just jump right in. I'm going to jump right in because there's a lot and I want to get started. So the first thing I want to ask you is to tell me in the comment section, in your opinion, what is charisma? If you had to define it, if you had to say like, what is charisma? What's a charismatic person? How would you define that? So I'll have you put it in the comment section and I'll read what some people are saying. So a certain radiance, likability, charm, it's a vibe, an infectious energy. My energy's seen, authenticity, confident, magnetic, a light, charisma is confidence. It's pizzazz, flair, an aura, a floating energy, a magnet, Riz, a magnetic, beautiful energy. I just want to be around you. I can't take my eyes off of you. Confidence, sexy, a person who has magnetic radiance, juiciness. It's a sparkle from within. It lights up a room. Competence, warmth, magnetic, sassy, a leader with charm, sparkly eyes, the special sauce, yummy energy. It's your energetic signature. It's a vibe, confidence, humor. It's a unique vibe that's infectious. It's magic on legs. Okay, so let me ask you this. Do you believe that you're a magnetic person, and why? Do you believe that you're a magnetic person, and why? Okay, so Jamie says, no, but I wish. So Jamie, are you willing to come up here with me for a second? Let's see if we can get Jamie-Lynn, who said, no, but I wish.
The
Hi.
let's throw up.
Okay, so first tell me what you think a magnetic person is.
I feel like they're confident, they're sassy, they're walk into a room and not feel intimidated. They're just, if you're charismatic, you're just kind of, people are just automatically drawn to you.
Okay, and do you feel that you were ever that way?
No.
Not even as a little kid, there was not one part of you that was that?
No.
Okay. Okay. Who do you know that was charismatic? When you looked at them, you were like, that's what that looks like. That's what that feels like.
I don't know.
Okay. And did you do identity work?
Yeah.
So in identity work, what are some of the identity pieces that you noticed in you that you either wanted to put down or that you wanted to pick up?
I put down, I kept saying when you said some things like I am this, or I'm just that person, or that's just who I am. I kept hearing myself say, I keep my mouth shut. I keep my mouth shut. I was just, that kept coming up for me. So I put that, I'm trying to put that down. That's a hard for me. But I started celebrating my story instead of being like the unwanted child. I started being like, my mom was that 17-year-old kid. My dad was 16. My parents, I have no idea how the hell, I have two small kids. I have no idea how they kept me alive. Like, I don't even, how they kept me alive. I have no idea, because it's hard in my 40s to keep two little kids alive. So I started celebrating the, I'm alive and I'm here for a reason. And my family is Native American. So I just feel like I was called to be a healer. I was called to help people. So I find my identity in helping other people.
Okay. So you are such a perfect example, and I'm so happy that you're the one that got chosen for this. So
I am
a lot
having
of
morning
people-
coffee with my toddler, like not like in my kitchen.
You're
I'm like
perfect.
so
You're
not even
perfect.
dressed for this.
That's it. That's exactly what we needed. So the first thing I want to say is that most people imagine what charisma looks like. Sometimes they've never even seen a person that they would just say is charismatic, but they've got this image in their head, and then they just decide that they're not it. And I feel like that's kind of what you did. You just kind of gave yourself an image of what charisma was, and you were like, well, I'm not that. And then you picked up a bunch of things like, you know, I keep my mouth shut and it's hard, things are hard for me. And this is that you picked up these other identities, and it just was like, this is the truth of my life. And with that, there's not much chance for anything to really change, because first of all, it's solidified in the I am identity field. So it's like it's stuck there in your identity field. But on top of that, charisma looks like something that you are. It's like an external shiny thing that you would be. And I can tell you just by talking to you that you actually are charismatic, and I'm excited for you to find out in what way in this masterclass. But you were the perfect person to come up.
I still feel like I'm gonna throw up.
That's okay. And you know what? The fact that you say, just for fun, who here finds a funny person that's a little sassy and that's a little bossy and that says things like, I want to throw up, is actually very likable, and you would say that Jamie's actually charismatic? Like, look, the thing is, we don't know sometimes. So this is actually perfect. So I want to thank you for being this example. Don't throw up, relax, and we'll talk again soon.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So here's the magic of this class. A lot of us have an image of what charisma looks like. It's as if there's this one Hollywood star, perfect smile, cheesy, perfect, happy, giggly person that walks into a room, and that's charisma. And anything that's not that is just not charisma. And what I want to really unlock for us in this room is that charisma is available in almost every single personality type, and most people have more than one personality type. You would have to be the most special person on earth to not have any of the personality types that touch charisma. Like, you would have to be the rarest breed of person, which would in its turn make you probably charismatic, because people would be fascinated by you and all the fact that you are the one or two persons on earth that has absolutely no character traits of charisma whatsoever. So what I want to start going into is the feeling of what we would like to be, the personality that we wish we were. And that has a lot to do with what we were doing in identity work. I wish I was more this way. I think I should be this way. That has a lot less to do with charisma than it does identity. The big breakthrough for me is that charisma is not about how you feel about you. It's not just about your confidence, although it can be a part of it. It's more about your connection to other people. And so when I feel a person is charismatic, it's because I feel a connection to them. So another crazy thing about charisma is one person will find someone super charismatic, and someone else will look at that same person and be like, I don't think that person's charismatic at all. I think that person is way too full of themselves, and I don't like them. They don't value that style of charisma. Then they'll say, oh, I don't like that person's sharp humor. They think, that they're the boss of everything. Like, I don't like that. When somebody else is like, that is just my kind of person. Like, tell it to me straight. Like, this is the kind of person I want to hang out with. This is charisma for me. This is such a good leader. And then you'll see someone else who's sassy and bossy, and people will be like, I love you. You sassy pants. Like, yes, I follow you. Let's go. Let's move. I like this. I move with you. And someone else will be like, I don't like to be spoken to this way. I'm not attracted to that. I don't like that. Someone else will be so kind and warm and open, and people will say, it's all an act. It's a face. I don't like people like that. They bug me. And other people will be like, I just feel so good around this person because they're so kind and they're just so warm and it feels so nice. And someone else is like, ugh, drives me bananas. Can't stand that kind of person. So charisma isn't even a one size fits all thing. You can't even say this person is charismatic to everyone. It's more so the gateway to connection in the right places for us. So where this starts to go downhill very fast for us is the first time we have the kind of charisma that someone else doesn't like, and we are super at ease in who we are. We care about somebody else, but they don't value the kind of charisma we value. And all of a sudden we're made wrong for our way of being. And then we start to question our identity. And then we wonder whether we're charismatic or not because of one or two experiences where we were cast away or told, no, you're not approved of here. And so often the first time you'll experience yourself as not charismatic will be like with your cousins as a kid, in the classroom, with your parents. It'll be very early on when your personality is just starting to come out. And then it might happen again growing up, and then happen again, enough to solidify your identity. So I'm going to give you one of the examples where I realized I shut my charisma down. So when I was, I want to say 14 or 15 years old, there was this hair salon near my house, and all the girls that worked there, they were all in their, to me, like maybe the teenage, like 19, 20, 21. And they looked so cool to me. They were businesswomen. They had their careers. They were also trendy. They were all beautiful. They were all friends. Like when I walked in there, I was so impressed by these girls. And I felt grateful to get my hair done there. Now, I was very well aware that I was a 14 or 15-year-old girl, and there was not one part of me that felt like I belonged, like I was not a part of it. But every time I walked in there, I was happy to see them. And so I walked in there, every time I walked in, kind and warm and happy. And I made, like, the one girl that often did my hair, she was more connected with me. And after a few years of doing my hair, she said, I've got to tell you something. There's a girl here that hates you. And I was like, what? And she's like, she thinks that you just love yourself so much. And you come in here and you think you're everybody's friend, and you drive her crazy. And I was like, I don't think I'm everybody's friend. I'm 15. I just think you're wonderful. Like, I was just happy to see you. She's like, well, there's actually a couple of them that you bug. You bug them. And I just thought, well, that's terrible. Like, how should I be then? And she said, you just got to be cool. And so I left there being like, how does one be cool? I don't know how to do that. I have no reference. I don't know how to do that. That is not my identity. And that's not how I relate to people. I have more of a happy tail wagging puppy energy than a I'll like you if you feed me kind of cat energy. I don't have that. I'm like, huh? So I left there completely questioning myself, like, does everybody think this about me? Now, what do you think the answer is to that? Does everybody think this about me? No. But there were a few girls there that were cool. They were chill. They were too cool for anything. And maybe, probably, maybe, didn't actually feel all that bubbly or loving or open, but they felt cool. And so when I came in with all my bubbly energy, they just valued a different kind of charisma. They preferred, and we found out later, some of the boyfriends that ignored them. They preferred to chase. They preferred a different kind of charisma. They were drawn to, I'm too cool for you and I don't have time for you kind of cool, which is not who I was. But I questioned my identity and, without knowing it, my charisma at that point, because it wasn't an energetic match for those people. And I tried on for a while being cool, but you know what it did? It kind of made me feel very self-conscious, because I was like, am I doing it right? And I was like, I'm pretty sure it's not cool if you've got to wonder if you're doing it right. So I'm probably being cool wrong. So the thing you're supposed to be is cool, and I can't do that right. So I'm messing this whole thing up. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. I changed my personality so much looking for myself through people who would say things about me and who would say things. I was just kind of lost. Like, then I'd go into places and people would say she's stuck up. And I was like, yeah, I think it's because I'm messing up the cool thing. I think I'm messing it. I'm trying to be cool is what I'm trying to do. And it's looking stuck up. Now, what do? Everyone values different charisma. Now, when I met Kevin, I had now at this point, I believed that I was just not funny. This is my identity when I met Kevin. I'm not funny. I am just very focused at things, and I'm mature. It's my angle. this man who's 11 years older than me. I'm mature and I'm focused, and this is what, but all of a sudden this funniness comes out of me because I'm comfortable with him, or I don't know what, and he thinks I'm hilarious. And it shocks me. Like, you think I'm funny? He's like, you're the funniest person I've ever met. I'm like, what do you mean? You like this? He was like, I love this. This is the best part about you to me. What? Well, this is amazing. And so I just let myself be free with Kevin. So all of a sudden, he says I'm funny. His friends say I'm funny. Next thing, I go back home after I haven't seen my parents and my family in months and months and months and months and months, and they say I'm funny. And I'm like, what the heck? You guys have never said I was funny ever? How am I funny? How am I funny? I'm funny? I'm not funny. I had an identity crisis. But here's what I realized. I stopped trying to be something, and I just was who I am. And then when people didn't like it, I stopped seeing it like there was something wrong with me. And I just saw it as we have different charisma. You're drawn to something different. And when I really think about it, those weren't my favorite girls, the ones that didn't like me back. Those weren't the ones. My favorite one was the super smiley one at the front desk. She was just the kindest person. And every time I walked in, she knew my name and she smiled at me, and I really liked her. And then there was the two girls at the sink at the back, the girl who did my hair and a couple of other ones that smiled at me when I walked in. I didn't even notice the ones that didn't like me. Then I questioned that. I didn't even notice the ones that didn't like me. Did I smile at everybody else but them? I wonder if that bugged them. What if this is bigger than just my bubbly personality? What if this is more than what I could see? Maybe I just smiled back to the people smiling at me, and they thought I was ignoring them, and I thought I was so this and that. Who knows? So the whole thing became a little silly. Like, what are we looking for? And from who? And why? So what's the point of charisma? The point of charisma, to me, is the magnetic surge or the attraction that effortlessly happens between two people with the same charisma quotient. And I'm going to tell you more about what the charisma quotient is for me and how I've kind of finagled this and built it and what it is. But ultimately, this is what it is. When you and another person have a similar charisma quotient, sparks fly, and it is effortless. Have you ever met a person and being you was effortless? Has that ever happened? Even if it's like your kids, that you have a day and you're like, I did not have to think about how I was sitting, how I was standing, how I was speaking, whether I'm funny or not, whether I said something dumb. I didn't have to think about this all day. This was just me. This was the easiest day. Have you ever had a day like that? That's your effortlessness. That's your charisma. That's who you are when you're just you. But most of our lives, we've been measuring to see how other people are feeling about us. And so we actually limit the range that we have. So at the beginning of this call, what I said is that almost every single personality type is charismatic, and most of us have multiple personality types. But we don't even let ourselves have multiple personality types because somewhere said that can't. Because someone didn't have two personality types. And so when they saw you be kind and bossy, they decided one of them wasn't real. And then you started wondering which one was the real one. Although they were both you, it felt like you need to sever a part of you. Do I kill the kind one or the bossy one? Which one do I get rid of? I don't know. They both feel like me, but they can't possibly be because Susanna said that it's impossible. We put ourselves through so much just to try to fit in, when in fact, we do fit in. We just don't fit in everywhere because we're just not a match for everybody. Like, there are billions of people on this planet. There's 800 of us and we are Alpha Femme. I'm not going to have 8 billion people in Alpha Femme. That's just not going to happen. But there's going to be a match that when I speak, you're like, yes, to most of it. Not even all of it. There's things you'll say, you're like, no, see, that's not my vibe. And it won't matter. It'll be perfect. You have your own ideals, your own ideas, your own feelings about certain things. And then there's things I'll say, you'll be like, I like that. I keep that. I work on that. I remember that. I like this. I keep this. And we'll build on that. You're going to have people in this group that you're going to click with immediately. You'll be like, where have these people been all my life? I love them. And there's going to be other people who are going to post stuff and everybody else, or it's going to seem like everybody else is like, wow, I love it. And you're going to be like, ugh, this kind of person just can't stand. But that's life. And then we want everybody to like us, except we don't like everybody. It's like, I would like everyone to like me, even her. Well, I don't care about her because I don't like her, but actually, yes, even her. I want everybody to like me, but I don't even like everybody. So when we can kind of soften into this realization, we'll realize that in fact, in a lifetime, a normal person, a regular person will have about 20 relationships, active relationships in their lives. And on those like 20 or so relationships, there'll probably be at least one that's in conflict. That's the regular human. What happens when you go on the internet, when you grow a business, and all of a sudden 20 isn't even the amount of people in your mastermind? What happens when 20 isn't even as many clients walk in the door before noon? All of a sudden you're interacting with so many more people. Your pool is so much bigger. If you do a reel or a live stream on the internet, the pool of people who watch it are so much bigger. Now, instead of being in conflict with one person, well, you've got 200 people, you're in conflict with 10 people, 2,000 people, you're in conflict with, the odds change. But we tend to focus only on the person who doesn't like it, the people who don't like it, because we are human. So what I love about charisma, this is probably my favorite part of this work, is that you don't need to fight for who you are when you're charismatic. You don't need to, it's not about your identity anymore. You don't have to fight for who you are, because you become people. Like, you have your people. And so before I understood my charisma, it always felt like it was me against the world. Now it feels like it's me and my people, and it doesn't matter. I'll defend us, I'll stand for us, I'll walk with us, I'll lead us, I'll learn, I'll do everything I can with us, for us. But it doesn't feel like I need to defend my personality anymore, because it's way bigger than that. There's an us now. And so you'll see sometimes us might just be a little group of 3 friends. Us might be you and your kids. Us might be you and a few of your clients. Us might be you and an entire collective that you build. It doesn't really matter, but when it stops being just me and I'm trying to fit in somewhere, your life begins to change. So instead of trying to see it like the reason you belong or don't belong is because of your personality, if you can stretch your mind and say, actually, there's a bunch of things in my personality. For those of you who did identity work, did a bunch of identity pieces come up where you're like, whoa, I have that, and that's entirely different than that, and I also have that. Like, you realized a bunch of things that made up your personality. It's not like this is who I am and this is it and this is this one thing. It's like I'm this and 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 I'm all the things. Like, for example, I am a super loving person. That's at the forefront of who I am. I genuinely really care about people. But I'm also sassy and spunky, and I have a sense of humor. Now, that doesn't work for everybody, because sometimes people are sassy, but they're not kind as well. So when I go and I'm all kind and they're used to sassy is only sassy, I make them uneasy, because it's like, sassy's supposed to just be sassy. You're not supposed to have this kumbaya side. This doesn't work for me. You're supposed to just be sassy. I feel uncomfortable. For some people who are only just this loving and kind thing, when all of a sudden I show up with my sassy side, they're like, whoa, I'm scared of you now. I only like it when you're super kind. Other people are like, I love that you have both. I have both. Those are my effortless attraction charisma people. But if I try to fit in only with the nice people, I'm going to cut out an entire part of my identity. If I try to fit in only with the sassy people, I'm going to cut out an entire part of my identity. If I allow myself to find all my edges and to be those things, that's when charisma starts to work its magic. Because ultimately, how people define charisma usually the biggest words are like likability and charm. But not everyone likes the same people, and not for the same reasons. And not everyone is charmed by the same people, and not for the same reasons. So although most people will say likability and charm and magnetism are the three top qualities, everybody defines those three things entirely differently. So it's different what makes you likable, magnetic, and charming. What if I like a cool, aloof, kind of unavailable kind of person? What if I'm magnetized to that? What if that's what I find charming? What if that's what I find likable? Well, then this person is charismatic for me, whereas someone else will be like, that person is a jerk. What? No. And this is so good that it's like this. It's fantastic that it's like this, because it means everyone on the planet can be charismatic if they just allow themselves to be who they are. Now, the other part of this is that you can, if you desire, add more aspects to your identity. You can say, on top of everything that I am, I'd also love a sense of humor. You can say, on top of everything I am, I'd love to feel confident. You could say, on top of everything I am, I'd love to also add this. And then you would go into personal development, personal expansion. You would take courses on how to learn how to be these extra bits of you. But not because there's something wrong with you, because you want to add to your repertoire of personality. And you get to do that. And the more you can access in your personality, the more you will appear charismatic to more people. The more you will feel charismatic to more people, because a wider range of people will say, I feel seen by you. So this is the craziest thing about charisma. Most people think charisma is about how I show up, but it's not. Charisma is about how other people feel when they're with you. It's about how they feel. Do they feel seen? Do they feel like they matter? Do they feel important? Do they feel like they're being listened to? Do they feel like you are genuine and you care about them? Like, do they feel that from you? And so why I really don't love most of the conversations around charisma is because people are trying to teach people how to be likable. But when you try to be likable, you're not actually caring about a person. You're just trying to look likable. There's a wall there. There's something that's not real there. Trying to be magnetic, trying to be confident, trying to, learning all these techniques of how to look and how to appear. Well, cool, except there's not much real in that. The fact is you're already exactly charismatic for your people that have the same charisma quotient as you do. You get to change this over time if you want. You get to expand yourself and work on yourself. But there is a feeling a little bit of like, the manipulation thing, like, am I manipulating, or am I being manipulated in this moment by this person who wants to be likable? That's not the same as, let me understand the actual thing that makes charisma work, and let me learn this about myself. And so when you care about people, charisma is a lot easier. Like, who in your life do you genuinely feel cares about you? And when you're with them, you feel like you matter, whether you go over to their house or whether you're sitting at lunch with them. Like, if you were to call them and tell them about what you're going through, they really care. If it's your birthday, they genuinely care. People in your life that really, when they talk to you, you feel it. So your friends at the gym, let me just see, I'm going to zoom down here. Your sister, your husband. Who else? Who do you feel it from? My friends from childhood, my daughter, my girlfriends, my friends and my family, my wife, my husband, my best friend from high school, you, my fiance, my boyfriend, some friends, my mom, my best friend Becca. So you can tell these people that when you're with them, you feel like you matter. So if I were to ask you, Who are some of the people that are the most charismatic in your life? Would you tend to want to answer those same people? Like, who's the most likable, magnetic, attractive? Like, the people who make you feel like you matter. Now, there is an added thing to this: presence, genuine ability to be there. So, who here has a person in their life that cares about them a lot? This person has not much focus. They're easily distracted. They'll often be on their phone. They forget stuff. They love you so much, but they'll be like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot. I'm so sorry. I spaced out. I'm so sorry I'm late. I'm so sorry I'm this. I'm sorry I'm that. I'm sorry. So if one of the reasons that you would not call a person charismatic is because they're a little spacey. They forget. They're not in the zone. They're not focused. You don't get their full presence. If you feel like that impacts charisma, let me know in the comments. You're like, yes, they care about me, but I wouldn't say they're necessarily charismatic because they're always like, And then there's another thing. Are they only this way with you? Or are they also this way with other people and you've seen them do it? So there are people where you're like, I could not say this person's charismatic because they care about me and they're present with me, but they are literally the worst to everybody else and they don't like people. So I get the best of them. Nobody else does. They don't like people. So there are so many little things about a person that's like, I feel drawn to you. I feel like I love being around you. And I also feel like everybody else likes to be drawn to you and likes to be around you, versus I like to be around you, but nobody else does. Or versus I wish I could be around you because everybody else likes to be around you, but I don't feel that around you and I don't feel special and I'm not important. So even in the way that we're describing this, can you see all the nuances, all the little traits that make it like, So when a person's like, I want to learn to be charismatic, which part do you want to work on? Which part do you need to work on? Ultimately, a person who genuinely cares about people, and you can feel it. Whether they're bossy or sassy or whatever, doesn't matter. They stand for people. They stand for something. People who are able to be there without being distracted. They can sit with you in a discussion without looking at their watch or interrupting you to say something else or cut you off because they want to get their point across, or say, sorry, I'll be right back, or and then leave you there waiting. Or people who, when you're talking, you feel like you are the only person there. And when they're talking, they care about your time. You know, the kind of person who, if they are going to speak, they really are good at what they're doing. They're not just going to be like, so, sorry, forgot what I was saying. But anyway, so I was, do you remember what I was saying? I was doing it was something about, well, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so I was with my friend and she was saying this to me, and then she was saying that, and she was saying that, and then can't remember why I'm telling you this, but anyway, like that kind of energy when you're speaking to someone feels like, you don't care about this either. Why are we doing this? But when someone's like, I gotta tell you something, and then they go ahead and tell you the best story with all the feelings, and they care that you get it, and they've been so excited to tell you, and they are in the zone and they are nailing it because they care about it. Oh my gosh, you're drawn in, like, you care about me, you're present with me. There's something about that. And so it doesn't matter whether you have a sense of humor and you're hilarious, or whether you're super sexy and seductive, or whether you are charming and cute, or whether you're witty and fast. Those are just little traits that add to what makes you charismatic. But it's not true that if you don't have a sense of humor, you're immediately not charismatic. But this is what we do. We say, I can't be confident because I'm not funny. I'm not good at this one trait, so I don't have it. Instead of looking at all the things about us that are actually quite spectacular. So my charisma started to really grow in my relationship with Kevin. That's when I really felt a shift. And I'll tell you what happened. And you know, in life, sometimes things happen just because, sometimes they happen through circumstances. This program will be a circumstance in your life. Me meeting Kevin is a circumstance in my life. But here's what happened. I would come home from work, or I would, because we lived in this company condo for a short period of time while I was circular dating. And when I first started speaking to Kevin, he would ask me about my dates. Like, we weren't dating yet. We weren't official yet, but he wanted to know about the dates. And I would tell him these stories, and I would come home and he would literally just like lay on the couch, like tell me everything. And he'd laugh. Oh my gosh, you're joking. Didn't do that. Yeah, I did. Oh my God. Oh my God. And we got close. Then I talked to him about work. Then I talked to him about things. He thought I was hilarious. He thought my stories were genius and brilliant. He was like, I could listen to you speak all night. And I'd never been listened to. Like, there's 3 kids in my family and I'm the oldest. And so everybody's trying to talk over everybody. Everybody's fighting for the spotlight. There is no here. Let's talk calmly and really pay attention to what you're saying. It's like fight for a minute of attention, which I gave up because my sister can out volume anybody. Her body's about this big and her voice is that big. And I was just like, okay, never mind. And my brother was the funny one. So with a funny brother and a loud sister, I had bossy in my back pocket, but it's like, that's not always a great card to play. So I kept it for very good moments. And apart from that, I just kind of let things go. But I think that what is amazing is all of a sudden in your life, experiencing someone who thinks you're just the bee's knees. Like, all of a sudden I was speaking, he thought I was amazing. And so I cared about how I told the story. It made me care even more about how I told the story. I realized that if I cared about, when I thought he didn't care about telling the story and I told it really fast, he'd sometimes go, hey, 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 whoa, 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 slow down. Why are we rushing this? And I was like, well, I don't want to bore you with the details. The details are the best part. Oh, well, okay then. And so then I'd do the details and the voices and the things, and he'd laugh. And I was like, this is amazing. And as I got this part of my personality back, the craziest thing happened is I started noticing it in other people that I'd never noticed it before, that they genuinely listened to me. So I don't know if it was never there, if I never saw it, but all of a sudden I recognized my mom would say things to me like, so tell me about your vacation. So you woke up on the first day and then what? You want me to tell you everything? Like, I woke up on the first day and then I peed? Like, I tell you all the details? Like, you want everything? She wanted everything. But wait. Was there little birds? Then all of a sudden I recognized it. Like, wait a minute, people do want to hear the whole story. Did I make it up the whole time that they didn't want to hear the story? And did I just rush through things so fast it became my identity that people didn't care? And I've been giving up on this connection piece this whole time? Let me give it a shot. Let me just go and assume people want me to tell the story. And all of a sudden, people started telling me, you're the greatest storyteller. You're hilarious. You know what changed? I believed people wanted to hear the story. That's it. So I tried it on social media. I started doing Facebook Live challenges, and I didn't know what to talk about. I just knew that if I told stories, I'd be good. So I went online and I spoke to nobody. Let's just be very clear at this point. There are nobody that cares about me at this point on the social medias of life. It is just, I'm nobody. And I go on there and I start telling tales, like fables, like the little red hen or the fox and the crow or the tortoise and the hare. And my following starts to grow. Now, while this is happening, there's the occasional person who makes fun of my eyebrows and my dumb face and my accent and my whatever it is that they don't like about me. But I also have people who say, I'm hilarious. They love my storytelling. Being on these live streams is the highlight of their day. They love me. People literally saying, I love you. I watch you every day with my kids. We love you. You make us smile. You make us laugh. And I realized like all that matters is that I decide that people care about what I'm saying. But here's the thing. I don't need to think that all people care about what I'm saying. You've got to go at it like you're going fishing. You cast a line, you put a little worm on the hook, and you know that there's one kind of fish that's going to get really excited if it sees it. You are not going to catch the entire lake. That's not going to happen. But it's worth it for the thrill. It's worth it for the connection. It's worth it for the story. It's worth it for the one. And so I started detaching from the identity that nobody likes me. And that was one of the biggest identity shifts I'd ever had. Nobody likes me. Nobody likes me kept me bullied in school. Nobody likes me made it very difficult for me to have any kinds of friends that didn't fall apart. Nobody likes me made it very difficult for me to hold a romantic relationship. Nobody likes me made it very difficult for me to have even friendship with my siblings or my parents, because who wants to be friends with a person who no matter how much love you pour into them, they still say things like nobody likes me. At a point you're like, all right, well, I guess I don't matter then. So when I stopped saying nobody likes me, then what was left was like somebody likes me, and then somebody else, and then somebody else, and then somebody else. And I started genuinely focusing more on the one connection that made my day than all the times I was maybe ignored or all the times the way I used to. And so a lot of times charisma is misunderstood because people think you're supposed to walk into a room and everybody notices you. You walk into a room and everybody notices you. That's not charisma. Charisma is you walk into a room and there's always someone there for you. You walk into the room and there's always someone there that could change your life. You walk into a room and there's always someone there you could change their day. You walk into a room and there's always a person who's exactly what you wished for in that room. To laugh with, to smile with, to joke with, to play around with, to do business with, something. There's one person in the room. Can you see how one is based entirely in validation and one is based in connection? And if we go back to identity work, and so much of it was about the need for validation, it makes sense that if a person starts this charisma journey with the need for validation, they walk into a room needing everybody to notice them. What are they going to notice first? If I am still in a position where I am stuck in an identity that no one likes me, I am trying to work on my charisma, charismatic people in my mind are that everybody likes me. I walk into the room, what's the first thing I'm going to notice? This person doesn't like me. Well, that person didn't look at me. And that person looked mad at me. This doesn't work. Within 5 seconds, your goose is cooked. It's over. Oh, what if you believe that somewhere in this room there's one? Human beings go fishing for hours for nibble. You could have the time of your life in hopes of one. One. The power of one. Because the other thing is, I don't find charismatic the people who need everybody to like them. That's not my charisma quotient. As a matter of fact, when I see a person who needs to be liked by everyone, I tend to be turned off. Not on purpose. It's just not my charisma quotient. That's not what lights me up. That doesn't feel magnetic or likable to me. It's like you're trying too hard. I feel it in my body. I just tend to be like, so you're going to need me to like you. I'm just one of many. Maybe that's what it is. So let me guess. I need to like you. This is how this is going to go. For you to get to be your personality, I need to like you. I don't have a choice in the matter. I like people who don't care whether I like them or not when they don't even know who I am. It's like, let's find out who each other is before we decide whether we like each other or not like each other or not. Like, I like real. Like, I've known you for 2 seconds. You don't like me already, or you do like me already. Like, let's give it a second. What's about you? What's about me? What's here? And so charisma is about your ability to be in relationships. And you might find, I really like everybody to like me though, Melanie. Does that mean that you don't like me? And it's like, it's not that I don't like you, is that I would not say that you are charismatic. I wouldn't be drawn and say, wow, this person is so magnetic to me, but I'll still love you because that's who I am. And I'll feel like you probably just got a heart of gold. But you're probably a beautiful, nice person, but I wouldn't be like, oh, this is the person that's going to lead me. That's for sure. Because I'd be like, because for you to lead me means I need to like you, which means, nah, won't work for me. I can be equal power, but different with a lot of people. But charisma leads to leadership. And we're going to talk about this in the program. And so what's the difference between leadership when you're letting someone lead you in life? Is you're still shoulder to shoulder, but one person walks in front, not above, in front. And this is so important. And so if we're all in a line and one person says, okay, I'll lead us, one person steps forward and we all walk shoulder to shoulder. But for me to follow, there's got to be charisma. Charisma is the effortless attraction that I feel about you. You don't need to do anything for it. You're not even doing it on purpose. You're not even trying. If it's me, because if you're trying, no charisma. If you're doing it on purpose, no charisma. It doesn't work on me, for me. But for someone else, it might, but for me, no. So you might have one person step forward and a bunch of people step forward to follow. And everybody else goes, nah, that didn't get me. Then someone else will step forward and a bunch of other people will step forward. That's my person. Everybody else, nah, not me. And another person will step forward and a bunch of other people step forward. And other people say back, nah, not me. But this is actually amazing because it means we all have our place. And we all get to belong shoulder to shoulder. We're all equal value, but our charisma and our effortless magnetism is going to click with different people. So what I want you to contemplate for this first session, because tomorrow we're going to start breaking down charisma quotient. We're going to start talking about the different parts of charisma and you're going to start really looking at yourself in different angles. But what I want you to start this masterclass with is this. Can you genuinely get excited about this truth? In identity work, you took your identity back. This is not about who you've always been, so who you always will be. It's like you were a part of you until you felt like trying something else on, then you try something else on, you get to change it all your whole life. You get to play around with your identity. It's yours to play with. Your charisma is not your identity. Your charisma is your allowing yourself to be all the parts of your identity while connecting with people who resonate with exactly that, without needing everybody to like you, without needing everybody to see you, and without defining it by one character trait or two, especially ones you don't feel you have, because that would be an entire waste. So we've talked about different things that make people attracted, like sense of humor, but also like bossiness, sassiness. You might be like, I'm not charismatic because I'm not bubbly and sparkly, except I'm sassy and bossy. And I'm just realizing some people like that. So for some people, that is charismatic. I can add other feathers to my cap. And I can say, I'm sassy and I'm bossy, and I'd also like to work on my sense of humor. And I would like to work on my warmth a little bit. And I think that I could get there if I wasn't trying to completely destroy the parts of me that are also great by saying they're not good enough. I really believe the reason we don't let ourselves adapt is because we're not trying to adapt. We're trying to kill who we used to be and rebuild something else. We're saying, I don't want to be who I am. I want to be this instead. Instead of saying, I'm all of this, and I'd like to add this and this and this and this and this. Can you see how it would be a lot easier for you to accept adding confidence and humor to a personality that you've accepted as charismatic, rather than saying, I'm not charismatic, who I am is not good enough, I need to change this so that I can be funny and confident instead? Can you see how it would be so much easier to add things to who you are than to try to change who you are to be something else? Can you feel that in your body? One feels like, stop trying to get rid of me. And the other one's like, oh, that could be fun. How do we do that? So that's what we want to do with charisma. We're not trying to change anything about you. You're already charismatic to a group of people on the planet. What becomes exciting is the more character traits you allow yourself to have, the more charismatic you are to more kinds of people, because your charisma quotient clicks with more people. People are like, oh, I recognize myself here. Oh, I feel seen here. Oh, I like this. It resembles me. Oh, I like this. It feels like me. And it's genuine because they're things that you also care about, or else you wouldn't want them as part of you. But if you try to reject a part of you while you're trying to create a new part of you, you're also rejecting all the people with your same charisma quotient, which means you have no ground. There's no actual experience of bonding or connecting with anybody. It just feels like who I was, I don't like, which means I'm also rejecting everyone that was like me. And I'm trying to build something that's not who I am yet, which means I'm not connecting with anyone that I want to be. So I am in the no man's zone. Like I am just floating with no charisma. But if I can say, look, right now, the people who find me charismatic are sassy, bossy people, and I love them. These are my people. And I'm working on my warmth and my heart and my kindness as well, because I want to open up my charisma répertoire. I want more people that when I'm with them, I feel like I bond with you. Because what we talked about in identity work is that we tend to validate or invalidate our experience of life through other people. And this is why charisma is so important, because let's say I am a super kind, loving person and you're sassy McGee, and I meet you and you're super sassy, you invalidate my identity of being kind by who you are. Like if you liked me, you'd be nice because I'm nice. And then you're sassy McGee and you're making a joke and I take everything personally and I take everything really sad because you're mean. You'd be like, can't you take a joke? Like, why do you make me feel bad? I invalidate who you are by being so soft. And so we question our charisma because we're constantly being validated and invalidated in our identity. When we can actually see how the world works and we stop making it so much about like me against the whole world. If I win, the whole world loves me. And if not, the whole world hates me, which is how most people are operating in their lives every day. They're expecting everyone doesn't like me except the one, but that's not enough. When you go into your charisma, you're going to start to validate some of the things that you are that people freaking love. Who has ever told you before, I love your bossy side, or I love your sassy side? I love that about you. I love that you're crude, or I love that you swear, or I love that you, all the things that you might be like, this is not charismatic, that people are like, I love this about you. You're such a badass. You're so bold. And then who has told you before, you're just so sweet and you're so kind. Like, I wish I had that. I just don't have that. You're so patient. You're so loving. So what I want you to do today is I want you to look at some of the things people have complimented you on. And honestly, if you've ever tried to like invalidate that or be like, oh, they're probably lying, this is a really great example of how you are just not allowing yourself to be charismatic. People compliment you and you're like, oh, they're probably lying, or like, no, or this is how you completely invalidate your charisma, because people are literally telling you, I feel happy when I'm with you. I feel seen when I'm with you. I bond with you. You're likable to me. They're telling you, you are charismatic to me. And you're saying, nope, I don't give it back. I don't share it with you. I don't allow us to have this experience. So the first step to changing your life is acknowledging that there are people who genuinely love you because you have the same charisma quotient, and it is awesome. And so I want you to start thinking about what are the things people have complimented you on that maybe were weird for you or maybe felt good. And you're like, okay, I can take that. I love your confidence. I love your bossiness. I love your sassiness. I love your kindness. I love your sense of humor. I love your sense of direction. I love that you don't take any BS. I love that you just think of the things that you've been told before. And then what I'd love for you to do is to look at all those qualities and ask yourself if you enjoy those qualities in other people. When a person's doing them right, when it's because everybody, there's always a flip side to everything. You can be kind, but then you can be annoying, nice. You can be bossy, and then you can be abrasive. Like there's always a spectrum. But when people are nailing it, when people are doing the thing the way that it's enjoyable, is it enjoyable for you? Do you like a good sassy person? Are you really drawn to super kind, loving, warm people? And I want you to look at yourself like a magnet, where of course there's certain people who are just drawn to this because that's also inside who they are. And you give them permission to be that, and you validate them in being that. And it's so easy and it's so effortless, and you don't need to be anything, and they would pick you above anybody else because it's just so easy. And it could be the silliest things, like, I love the way you laugh, and you have a snort laugh, like Tracy's saying, like you laugh and you snort when you laugh and people just love it. But maybe there's something about the way they laugh that you give them permission to be quirky, or there's something about themselves that when they're with you, they feel free. I want you to start to decipher that a little bit. And tomorrow we're going to go deeper into it. So before we close out for the day, I want to ask you a question. Do you feel that charisma now feels different than what you thought it was when you walked in, even if just a little bit? Does it feel just a little more meaningful? Okay, good. Anything I ever bring to the table, and this is something I always want you to know, if I bring something to the table, it's because it's meaningful. There will never be a superficial conversation I bring to you. I don't have time for that. If I don't think there is the greatest depth in what I'm about to teach you, I won't bring it forward. So I know the word charisma can seem very flu-flu for a lot of people. This is the furthest thing from that, what we're doing. We're going to get you back into your power, loving the parts of you that make you magnetic with ease and flow. And then after that, if there are parts you want to add, we'll have the time of our lives adding them in, because you're great and because you get to evolve all of your life if you want to. But this will come from a solid, rock solid place of you loving your quirks, your bits and pieces that make people fawn all over you because they're drawn to the charisma quotient that you have. And then you get to decide if there's other things you value more, or if there's other things that you value instead, and then you can start to adapt. But you've got to have a solid ground. If you cut off all the people who love you for who you are while you're building something you're not yet, you're in limbo. And I think that's what most of us do. We don't want to be who we were, and we're not yet who we're going to be, and then we're lost. And the number one thing I hear people tell me is, I just don't know who I am. How are you supposed to know exactly who you are? And it's like, well, when you know who you are and you know what you want to be that you're not yet, you know that who I am is this and in the creation of that. But when I don't want to be that and I cut it off, and I want to be that, but I'm not yet, then I don't know anything. So we want to be building constantly instead of eradicating and trying, which is what most people are doing, feeling like they don't know where they belong. You belong anywhere you want to belong, but there's places you belong effortlessly. And that is going to be fun for us to find out while we're here. So contemplate, take the time to sit with yourself. Think of the compliments that you've received. You're positive, you're genuine, you're funny, you're playful, you're silly, you're sassy, you're bossy, you take no BS. Anything you've ever had that you've ever been told, you're like, gosh, I didn't even see that as a compliment. I always thought, okay, I'm taking it, I'm taking it, I'm taking it, I'm taking it. And let yourself enjoy this part where you're reclaiming all the parts that you are. And if there's parts that you want to be that you can't find yet, we'll add them. But value what you have, what people see, what people feel, and who you are, because this is the greatest place to start. So thank you so much for Module 1. I hope you have the most beautiful end of your day, and I shall see you tomorrow for Module 2.